hope you're well and having a lovely day today. Now today's video is about a spiritual awakening and what happens with the changes in our eating habits. So what we find is when we're in a spiritual awakening, we find that rather than eating the 4 meals a day or 3 meals a day that I used to eat, that I am now eating like a big meal throughout the day. And that's how we tend to change the way within the spiritual awakening that we are eating. So usually like in the morning, just not hungry at all. It comes to dinner time, I like to have a massive dinner, you know, at lunchtime. This could be anywhere from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and then it is just like snacks in the evening. And I found that since I've gone into this spiritual awakening, that has been the changes in my eating habits. So I feel that once we do evolve onto the new earth again, is there will be a change in the way that we eat our food. And what I've also noticed is I do like to eat plentiful, and that I'm not hungry as much as I was before the spiritual awakening started. And what I also notice is I don't lose any weight whatsoever. If anything, I've put a little bit of weight on. So it's not a case of, oh, you're just not eating. It's a case of that you are eating differently from how you used to eat. So you're not eating constantly throughout the day, but when you do have that main portion, that main meal is usually pretty big, you know. So it's like a man-sized meal for me, which normally I'd have the smaller portions throughout the day. But what I've found is, like I said, through this spiritual awakening, my eating habits have changed to that main meal. And it doesn't matter what time of day I have that meal. So if I had the meal at 5 o'clock at night, that's fine. You're just not feeling the hunger and the hunger pains that you'd normally feel before you go through a spiritual awakening. So it's almost as if you activate your spirit body. Once that spirit body has been activated and you are at peace, you are then just looking forward to enjoying that main one meal. And you do cherish that main meal, you know, it is really nice. And like I say, you're not losing any weight, you're not gaining any really. You are a little, I have a little bit, but not on large scales. And then what I tend is that it is then mainly the odd snacks, you know, that you have throughout the night, like could be a bag of crisps. And I am quite a stickler for sweet things, chocolate things, and I always have been. Even as a child, I would eat like 10 bars of chocolate, because I feel that to keep your vibrations high, the energy that's needed to be able to keep it as high as it is, that sugar is what is needed. And people will advise against it no matter what, and especially in spiritual awakenings. And I've seen children that are craving sugar, that are classed as having autism, and that it's like, oh, sugar is just not allowed. But for me, if that child is of a different planetary vibration, it will be craving that sugar because it needs that sugar, because that's what we need to be able to raise our vibration. And like I said, I've done this since I was a child, so I hold my hands up. I've needed to keep my vibration high, I have needed to have high sugar intake within my diet, and it's always been sweet food, and that's what I tend to snack on a little bit more than normal, is the sweet things. So yeah, so I did find a massive change in the eating habits. Now some people on other videos are stating that it may be that it's a liquid diet or something will change within our eating habits, and that is for definite. Like I said, because the breakfast, dinner, tea, supper routine is something that's been man-made, that's told we have to eat regular, we have to eat often, everything will drop, blah de blah de blah. you know, and I'm not talking against any sort of nutritionalist or anything like that. I actually listen to my body. I don't listen to, you must eat this, you must eat that. Now, I do find that if I eat fruit like satsumas, then that really does help me. And especially if I'm getting a cold or I feel a bit down, I will turn to satsumas and eat them like 10 at a time. And I do find that that helps get rid of any sort of cold or flu very quick within the day. And it stops you having regular intakes of that. So, like I say, from the spiritual awakening starting, I was always having breakfast, dinner, tea. And from the spiritual awakening starting, it has gone to the main one meal a day. And so I feel that once we do evolve, it's our spiritual being that's going to evolve, then possibly that's the kind of eating habits we will be looking towards doing. Now, I'm not saying that that is for everybody, I don't know, but what I do know is I listen to my own body and give my own body exactly what it wants when it wants it. So if I am hungry, I will give it. If I am not, I will not bother, because I am the observer, not just in my meditation, but also the observer of my own body. So if you start going within, you then start listening to your own body's needs and wants, so you can feel what it is your body is needing and wanting. So you know then, if you are hungry, you will get something. If you're not, you won't. And like I said, the pattern of the last 3 years for me has changed to that absolute one meal a day. And people say, how can you go all day without eating? But again, the spiritual energy is not always hungry, and when it is, you know, because you know in your own self that you are ready to eat. And that's one of the big things people were picking up on with me. They were like, oh, she's not eating properly, oh, she's not sleeping properly. However, a spiritual awakening happens in its own time. It doesn't say, oh, she's got work in the morning. It says we are keeping her awake, or meals are changing. And like I say, I've been tested for every single thing, blood tests, health tests, you name it, every single test that I could be tested for, I have been tested, and there is absolutely nothing wrong on every single level. So it's not as if I'm doing something that is affecting any sort of nutrition, because everything is as it should be, and every single test is as it should be and has been for the last 3 years. So it's just that is what my body wants, that is what my body needs in this spiritual awakening. So I, like I said, listen to my body, because that is being the observer and then providing it with what it needs when it needs it. So it's, like I say, the food intake is reducing down from several meals a day to the one main meal a day. Now people will say, oh well, we use this in sort of fastings and things like that. Well, I've not been fasting. If I wanted 3 meals a day, I would have it. But all I'm saying is throughout this spiritual awakening, I've not wanted that. And I just allow my body to have what it wants when it wants it. So, having said that then, guys, looking at the way a spiritual awakening works is making sure that you are constantly at peace and allowing yourself to have what it needs when it needs it. And always being the observer, always observing what it is that you feel that your spirit needs. And like I said, once the spirit connects, you feel it connect to your own being, and you feel it then starting to live and walk in the path that it was here to do. And like I say, with that said, that's how my meal intake's changed, and the previous video was how the sleeping pattern changed. So I just feel that once we go onto the new earth, it's going to be quite different from the earth that we live in at the moment. And because there's not going to be any pain, that tells me is we're going to be completely different. And another thing is, before my spiritual awakening started, I suffered a lot with fibromyalgia. I could barely move my hands, I could barely lift my arms, I could barely move my body. But since I've been in this spiritual awakening, I have had no fibromyalgia symptoms whatsoever, none. So meditation, relaxation, guys, if you're suffering, then I've found that within mine, I don't have any symptoms of that at all. And that's because I'm allowing the energy to flow through my body. So having said that, guys, have a lovely day. Do smash a like, do subscribe, do leave a comment, and I will catch you in another video. Take care for now. Bye, guys.